When searching for the best cloud or managed services provider for your technologies, your options out there can be overwhelming. There's a lot to choose from. But what are the best cloud and managed services providers in the market? That's what I want to talk about here today. My name is Eric Kimberling. I'm the CEO of Third Stage Consulting. We're an independent consulting firm that helps clients throughout the world with their digital transformation journeys. And as I mentioned, a lot of cloud providers in the marketplace provide great service and great options for organizations looking to migrate their systems to the cloud. You have software vendors that provide cloud options to host their software. You have third-party providers. You have big, massive providers. You have regionally localized providers. A lot of different options. And so what I want to talk about today are what are those top options that are going to best fit organizations throughout the world. And this top 10 list is really focused heavily on the global market. So we're trying our best to kind of look at the global view of what the best cloud and managed services providers are out there. But also keep in mind, there's a lot of providers that we're not going to talk about here today that some could argue should be in the top 10 for certain industries or certain types of technologies or certain geographies throughout the world. So you want to make sure that you understand what your needs and priorities are to determine which of these top 10 providers might be best for you. The way we determined this top 10 list is based on a number of different criteria. The size of the provider, the scalability of the solution, the cost, the reliability of the solution, the market share and customer adoption, as well as the global presence that these providers have. So again, focused on global providers for the most part, but you may also want to consider some local providers as well. Coming in at number 10 is MindSphere, which is a cloud and managed service provider offered by Siemens, and it's part of their industrial group. And MindSphere is a cloud and managed service provider that really focuses on Internet of Things. So automation of manufacturing shop floors and Industry 4.0, among other things, really a way to pull together disparate sets of data into a single cloud provider. That's really the area that MindSphere specializes in. So that focus on Internet of Things is particularly powerful for some organizations, especially if you value Internet of Things, if you have manufacturing execution systems and robotics on the shop floor that you're trying to tie back to your central data storage. This can be a great option for you. The other benefit of MindSphere is the fact that it's owned by Siemens and it's part of that industrial group. So you have a fairly innovative solution that's focused on a lot of manufacturing and industrial sorts of organizations. Now the downside of MindSphere, one is that it's very focused on Internet of Things. So if you're looking to just deploy a new ERP system or a new enterprise technology that isn't necessarily focused on Internet of Things, it may not be the best fit. There might be other options that are better fits for you. And the second thing that we've seen in the industry is that there's a reliance on other implementation partners, third-party partners, that can affect negatively the implementation and can sort of water down the results. But in general, this is all enough to land MindSphere at number 10 on our list. Coming in at number 9 on our list is VMware. And VMware is a cloud and managed service provider that focuses on a number of different software providers. So it is somewhat of a technology agnostic cloud and hosting provider, which can be very appealing to organizations that have a best of breed environment or are deploying multiple systems as part of a transformation. Another benefit of VMware is that it's known for its ease of use. So if you're a novice IT type of person, or if you don't have a strong IT department or capability within the organization, VMware can be a great option for you. And then finally, one of the strengths of VMware is that it can handle multi-tenancy very well. So if you have a software solution that's going to be multi-tenant, or if you're a software vendor that's trying to deploy a cloud solution to a customer in a multi-tenant environment, VMware can generally support that sort of capability. Now, some of the downside risks of VMware include the fact that it can be somewhat cumbersome and complex to set up initially, which can be a challenge for some organizations. Another weakness of VMware is that it lacks some of the server console capabilities that other cloud providers provide. So it doesn't have the same complete and robust server console functionality that a lot of organizations are looking for and that a lot of other cloud providers provide. But having said all of that, that's enough to land VMware at number 9 on our list. Coming in at number 8 on our list is Rackspace. And Rackspace is actually an earlier pioneer of cloud and managed services providers. In fact, they were in the cloud or providing cloud solutions well before the current wave of cloud adoption that we've seen in the market. And so they're pretty well established. They've really catered to the cloud market and organizations looking to move to the cloud. Now, some of the pros or advantages of Rackspace, in addition to being well established, is first of all that they support a number of different software solutions and products. So they're pretty broad and diverse in their ability to address and host different sorts of technologies in a transformation landscape. They're known for its excellent support. Generally, customers are very happy with the support they get from Rackspace when compared to other cloud and managed service providers. They have pretty robust service offerings, largely because they support so many different types of technologies, and they're also known for their very reliable uptime. So in other words, there isn't a lot of downtime or disruption to accessibility to the technologies that they host in the cloud. Now, some of the disadvantages of the product include a few things. First, Rackspace is notorious for having high costs for add-on features. So the initial cost might be relatively low, but as you add on more storage or more capabilities, those costs tend to escalate very quickly when compared to other providers. It's also known to be clunky and slow in terms of the console, in terms of how you manage and access the cloud and managed service environment. And it's also been known to have confusing backup tools that aren't as intuitive as some of the other cloud providers here in our top 10 list. But having said all of that, that's enough to land Rackspace in number 8 on our list. Coming in at number 7 is Salesforce. And Salesforce is known for its sales and CRM, customer relationship management software, but they're also a cloud provider, not only to their own solutions, but also to other third-party solutions as well. And the reason Salesforce is a viable option for customers, not just for Salesforce hosting, but also for any sort of application in the Financial Force ecosystem, is because that Financial Force ecosystem has grown to include hundreds, if not thousands, of different applications that can support Salesforce and provide a number of different applications and capabilities to automate an organization, and Salesforce is a hosting provider for those applications. Now, some of the advantages of the Salesforce cloud platform is, first of all, it's highly customizable. So if you have a variety of needs or unique needs, Salesforce can provide a lot more flexibility and breadth to what they can offer in terms of functionality. It's also compatible with a number of different systems too, so it's not focused just on Salesforce, although it does tend to focus on the Financial Force ecosystem that supports Salesforce and other Salesforce bolt-ons and add-ons that are built on the Financial Force platform. And finally, Salesforce is a cloud-native platform, so Salesforce as a product and Financial Force as an ecosystem, all those products were built in the cloud so that they're cloud-native, which is a big deal because that means they don't run into a lot of the same problems that traditional on-premise vendors have when they try to migrate to the cloud for the first time. These solutions are generally more mature than some of those other solutions. Now, some of the downsides of Salesforce include the fact that add-ons can be more expensive than some of the other options in our top 10 list. The technical support is sometimes limited or slow when compared to other options in our list. And it's been known to have a time-consuming setup process to get the cloud and managed service environment set up for your organization. But having said all of that, that's enough to land Salesforce at number 7 on our list. Coming in at number 6 on our list is Oracle. And Oracle is a provider of enterprise applications and databases, but they're also a cloud provider too. They provide cloud infrastructure to help companies and organizations that want to migrate solutions to the cloud. And this is not only for Oracle products, but also non-Oracle products as well. So while Oracle will typically host their own solutions in their own cloud, it can also support other third-party solutions as well. Now, some of the advantages of Oracle include the fact that it's a very scalable solution. Oracle has a very big infrastructure. They've invested heavily in their cloud infrastructure, and a lot of their financial results are dependent on their cloud success. So they tend to have a lot of R&D invested in the cloud infrastructure. It's very scalable for large organizations, and it has reliable uptime as well. So that's another important consideration, is the fact that not only is it a large solution, it can scale for larger organizations, but also has reliable uptime. And another unique advantage of Oracle is that its cloud environment and even its applications as well are focused on analytics and providing better business intelligence and data processing and whatnot. So a lot of the cloud environment is built to optimize that sort of consolidation of data, whether it be financial reporting or predictive analytics or whatever the case may be, the Oracle infrastructure in the cloud can generally support that sort of quantitative focus. Now, some of the negatives of the Oracle Cloud solution include the fact that its admin portal can be difficult to use. The initial setup time is often complex and difficult, and probably most importantly, the third disadvantage is that the pricing model is somewhat complex and can actually have a lot of hidden costs that escalate over time. So that's something you want to be very aware of as you negotiate your potential contract with Oracle Cloud. But in general, that's enough to land Oracle Cloud at number 6 on our list. Coming in at number 5 on our list is IBM Cloud. IBM is well known for its place in the technology space, and cloud and managed services is another area that they've ventured heavily into over the years. Now, some of the advantages of IBM Cloud include the fact that their enterprise tools and their business analysis tools in the cloud are very strong. They're sort of leaders in that space. So that's one advantage of IBM. The second is that because IBM was historically a hardware company, it has a very well-built architecture, and the hardware to support their cloud environment is generally considered very strong and powerful, meaning that they also generally support efficient storage as well. And then finally, and perhaps most importantly, one of the biggest advantages of IBM is that the cybersecurity is generally considered world-class. They have very good cybersecurity protocols and ways to ensure that you're not only getting uptime with the solution, but that you're also getting secure uptimes. So you're not as likely to have any sort of potential cybersecurity breach as you might be with another cloud provider. So all that being said is enough to land IBM at number 5 on our list. Coming in at number 4 on our list is Alibaba Cloud. And it's actually a very large cloud provider that competes with Amazon Web Services and IBM and some of the other large cloud providers that we've talked about here in our top 10 list, or that we will talk about in our top 10 list. And some of the advantages of Alibaba Cloud include the fact that, first of all, they provide a high-value free trial. So you can test out the cloud solution and see how it performs and how it looks and feels in the console and the management of that solution without any commitment. It's also great for multinational organizations because they have helpful multilingual support. So if you're a multinational organization that operates in multiple countries across multiple languages with different IT staff in different parts of the world, Alibaba can be a great option from a support perspective. And then finally, they're known for their extensive library of video tutorials and other helpful documentation to ensure that you get the most out of the setup and the use of their cloud environment. Now, the downsides of Alibaba include, first of all, that it's known to have a steep learning curve for figuring out how to use the product and the console to manage the overall cloud solutions. And it also requires a certain amount of technical proficiency and coding knowledge to be able to effectively use and manage applications within the Alibaba Cloud environment. But all that being said, that's enough to land Alibaba at number 4 on our list. Coming in at number 3 on our list is Google Cloud. And everyone knows Google as the search engine behemoth and the YouTube owner. But Google in general is also a big cloud provider, and they provide some robust open cloud and managed services options for organizations throughout the world. There's a number of advantages to using Google Cloud. One is that it's generally known for its open and flexible use of technology. So it's not application specific like some of the providers in our top 10 list. They, like Alibaba, also provide a free trial period, so if you want to try the hosted solution, you can do so without a long-term commitment or cost. It's also known to be user-friendly, much like Google itself as a tool is known to be user-friendly. And finally, the data analytics that Google Cloud supports is generally considered very strong, much like Oracle, which we talked about earlier in our top 10 list. So these are some of the advantages. Now, the disadvantages are a few. First is they have a smaller global data center footprint than some of the other providers in our top 10 list, in particular the remainder of this top 10 list. They have a less extensive portfolio and a smaller footprint and market share than either AWS or Azure, and they're generally known to have poor support when compared to other solutions in the marketplace. Again, part of that could be because it's that free trial and the lower cost solutions that Google generally provide, but that's something to consider as well. So all that being said is enough to land Google Cloud at number 3 on our list. Coming in at number 2 on our list is Microsoft Azure. And Microsoft has become quite the player, quite a dominant player in the cloud managed service space. And it's not only for Microsoft native solutions, which it can certainly support, obviously, but it's also third-party systems also use Microsoft Azure as a hosting and cloud platform. Now, some of the advantages of the Microsoft Azure platform include, first of all, the fact that it's Microsoft and it has that Microsoft feel that many organizations are used to and comfortable with. It also has the Microsoft name, which many organizations and teams are comfortable with because they are so familiar with Microsoft. But they're also known for having extremely high uptime, 99.95% plus uptime, which is a good metric to look at when you're considering cloud providers. It's an easily scalable solution, so if you're a small organization all the way on up to a very large organization, its infrastructure and its cloud offering can support and scale whatever growth plans you may have as an organization and your technical footprint as it grows. And it also provides great cybersecurity and the ability to pay as you go in terms of paying for what you need rather than paying for a solution that you're not using. So those are some of the advantages of Microsoft Azure, but there's also disadvantages as well. First is it's often considered to be a steep learning curve to figure out how to use Azure. And secondly, Microsoft tends to pressure organizations to use them as their sole and only cloud provider. So in other words, they don't really support that hybrid model where you might diversify where your different applications are hosted. They generally push very hard to have all of your applications that are in the cloud to be hosted with Microsoft Azure. A third and final disadvantage of Microsoft Azure is the fact that it's generally considered a higher cost cloud and hosting solution when considered to other options in our top 10 list. But overall, that's enough to land Microsoft Azure at number 2 on our list. Coming in at number 1 is Amazon Web Services, or AWS. Now, some of the main reasons why AWS is number 1 on our list is, first of all, it's sheer mass scale. It's probably the largest cloud provider in the marketplace. It's probably the best known. It's a global player. If you're a global organization looking for a global footprint and looking for a significant footprint across the globe, AWS can be a great provider, so it's very scalable. AWS is also known for using cutting-edge and innovative technologies in its cloud solutions. And it also provides extensive training and help documents too. So if you get stuck along the way, or if you have junior IT resources that are helping you manage the AWS environment, there's plenty of training materials to help you in the journey, in the transition. Now, the biggest disadvantages of AWS include, first of all, the add-ons that can add up and increase the cost significantly over time. That can be a significant downside for organizations that are migrating much of their technology to AWS. And then secondly, AWS does not provide a wide variety of SaaS support in terms of providing a number or a wide variety of different solutions. They tend to focus on a smaller number of potential solutions that can be hosted in the cloud when compared to some of the other options that we've talked about in this list. So these are just some of the cloud providers you may want to consider as part of your digital transformation journey as you determine how you might make that migration from on-premise to the cloud, and as you look for that potential long-term partner to help you host your different applications and technologies. It's also worth noting again that there's a lot of providers we did not talk about in this list that some would argue should be in the top 10 list. For example, SAP is a large software provider, but they're also a large cloud provider, which can be an especially appealing option if you're deploying SAP's technology. You also have US Signal, which is a very prominent second-tier cloud provider here in the United States where I'm based, which leads me to a third bucket, which is a bunch of different regional options that you may have in your markets. So if you're an organization that is looking for something a little bit more localized, or if you're heavily regulated, either because you're in an industry or work in a country that has these regulations that don't allow you to host applications or data in other countries, you may want to consider other cloud and managed services provider that are more local. May not be as large, may not be as well known to be in our top 10 list, but they could be great options for you as well. So as you think about your transition to the cloud as part of your overall digital transformation journey, I encourage you to download our digital transformation report. I've included a link to that below. It provides a number of best practices in terms of how you can best make this digital transformation journey you're about to embark on. It also provides a number of different top 10 lists and independent reviews of different technology providers. So I encourage you to download that as well as some of the other resources I've included links to below. So I hope you found this information useful and hope you have a great day.